So now for our second Pasta Primavera, and keeping in mind that there is a million different ways that you can make this. There's several different recipes that you'll see in books. It all depends on the kind of vegetables that you have. Now I've got quite an array of vegetables out here today. We're not going to use all of these, but I wanted to have them all out for you to see what the options were. And much like we did with the omelet, we're going to be dividing these up into the length of time it takes to cook. So something like a carrot is going to take longer to cook than the tomatoes or the Swiss chard leaves. And some of that will be determined not just by the type of vegetable, but the size of pieces that we cut it up into. So I'm going to wait to do the carrots and the zucchinis because I'm going to put them through the food processor. You can do them by hand, and if you're not really wanting to chop things, one of the things that you can do is to take your peeler. This is a great little peeler, it's a Pampered Chef peeler, and it's so sharp it actually comes with a little cover, so when I store it, it's not getting dull. So if I didn't have this food processor, I could take the carrots and just make little strips like that. So those things will cook up really, really quickly, much quicker than a slice of carrot would. Now the onions, I pre-chopped those because I didn't want to be crying on camera, but that's just basically thinly sliced red onions. And you'll notice that I was trying for a variety of colors in this process as well. So we take our celery to start with. We're going to cut both the ends off of it. Just those are the bits that were kind of dried up. It's okay to go ahead and use the leaves. That's just as tasty as anything. And the parts that are a little bit thicker, we're going to slice so that we end up with similar sized pieces as we go along. And that's probably enough for that. So I'm just going to pop those in with the onions because that's all going to get cooked at the same time. We'll make that easier. And then the next thing we will do, we've got some lovely broccoli here. Now we just need a little bit of that, and we're going to cut the florets, they're called, off. Now as we do this, there's going to be this stalk left over. Hang on to that stalk because what we can do with it afterwards is run that through the shredder and add that to coleslaw. And I mean, it's a big chunk like that. Maybe it wouldn't look as nice in this particular dish, but shredded, it's going to be delicious and nutritious for you. So we're taking this broccoli, cutting the florets into kind of bite-sized pieces. Yeah, that should be a good mix there. Then we have cauliflower. This is just your standard white cauliflower. And I'm going to break a little bit of that off. There we go. And again, we're not going to use the whole thing, just a bit. Again, slicing those bits up. Bite-sized pieces again. Oop. Okay, and now the broccoli and the cauliflower, that's going to take about the same length of time to cook. And I also have a special treat here today. I've got this purple cauliflower. Cauliflower comes in a lot of different colors. This will actually turn kind of a bluish color as we cook it, but it's still very pretty. And all the cauliflowers taste the same. It's just has a different batch of color into our mix. And you can also get it in orange, and there's probably I think you can get a green cauliflower, which is different than saying broccoli. And these ones are all ready. We have some sugar snap peas already cleaned and ready to go. And we have the Swiss chard. Now we're not going to use all of this, It's a nice display, but we're not going to use the whole thing. It's all been washed. And when I came home from the store, I washed it all up. Now, Swiss chard comes in your standard green and white kind of color, and it also comes in this red, and I think it comes in some purpley shades. Always nice to have a little bit different color. Again, they all taste the same, so if we're trying to make this look picturesque, we can have the brighter colors. Now with Swiss chard, you notice I just cut the ends off it there. The stalks take a little longer to cook than the leaves do, so I'll start by cutting the stalks and putting that off to one side. And then we'll munch up the leaves and have that in a separate pile. Now the leaves for Swiss chard, very much like spinach, as we cook them, the volume of this will reduce a lot. So this seems like an awful lot on the cutting board, but it's going to be much smaller in the pan itself. And then we've got, well, we're not going to use the spring onions because we've got the red onions, but we do have tomato. So again, I'm going to take a piece of that and cut that end off because this is one very ripe tomato, and slice that into similar size pieces as we did for the quick pasta. Keeping my fingers out of the road. And this is going to make enough easily for people, and it's also the kind of dish where you can vary the volumes. It could be 6 people, could be 8 people. All you have to do is add a couple more slices of each one of these vegetables. As the saying goes, you add another, you've got company coming, you just put another potato in the soup and nobody's the wiser. Okay, so there's our tomatoes ready to go. Last things that we have to do are the carrots and the 2 kinds of zucchini that I've got ready here. And those I'm going to put through the food processor. So we're going to take just a little pause and move this off to the side and do that part. Okay, so now we've got our food processor handy. Like I said, this is one of these nice to have kitchen gadgets. There's lots of different varieties, but having a good heavy duty one is worthwhile. We're going to take some of our vegetables that are ready to go in here. We don't need the whole zucchini because it's a little later in the season. The zucchini are getting bigger. So we're just going to start with about half of each one of those, and I'm going to just do 1 carrot. That'll be enough for what we've got going here. I'm going to wazz it up. So isn't that easier? And then we're going to take this, put our carrot down, and we're done. That's all you have to do when you've got a food processor. So particularly when you have a large volume of things to slice, well worthwhile. There. And we just pop that off. We do have a little bit of skin, but that's okay. Take that out. And we've got a whole bunch of lovely sliced, evenly sliced. This is on the thick slice, but that's exactly what we want to have happen. And now we're ready to start cooking because we have everything all prepared here. All right, so now we're ready to start cooking. We've got our pan on a medium-high heat. For today's process here, I've actually chosen the largest frying pan that I have. And unfortunately, I don't have a lid for this one. So I've kind of improvised here with a little bit of aluminum foil, so I've got enough of a lid to put on it. And this is important because for this process, we're going to be doing what they refer to as steam frying. So we're doing, part of this is frying, but then when we add our bulkier vegetables, we want to put the lid on it and let it steam just a little bit. Otherwise, they will burn before they're cooked through. So we're going to start again with a little bit of olive oil. And the very first things that we're going to put into this are the onions and the celery. The pan was already a little bit warm, and as soon as your pan is warm, that oil moves around a little. And again, you can use whatever kind of oil that you want. Some people prefer the avocado oil. I've heard of people using pecan oil, things like that, but olive oil is more of a traditional kind of thing, I would say. Then we're going to add in the onions and the celery and those little bits of carrot that we were using as a demonstration. And we'll start with getting those softened just a little bit. And while it's on medium-high heat, while those are softening, I'll just talk a little bit here. So for those of you that saw the previous video where we made an omelet, and I'd taken the leftover mushrooms and put them in the freezer, this is what happened. So they are a little browner, but they're perfectly fine for cooking. And we'll just pop those in as well for this starting process. No need for them to go to waste. They're fine in cooked food. So there, we've got the mushrooms. Put that in there. And we'll have that frying up a little bit. And we want to get the onions just starting to soften, like I said, and the celery. The other thing that we're going to do is, again, a little bit of garlic with this. And in that case, what I will use is this one. For those of you that don't have a garlic press, if you are using fresh garlic, you can just take it and put it on the board, put the flat side of your knife onto it, and push down on that quite firmly, and that will split your garlic up. But we do need a little bit of a spoon here, which has stuff on it that we were already cooking with, but that will be okay. And this is a big portion, so I'm going to put a good whack of garlic in there because I really like garlic for this kind of dish. And stir it up. This takes a couple of minutes to do this. Of course, with the wonders of modern technology, we might fast forward through this, but and already that looks nice with the different colors in it like that. And then on the other burner, we have the water boiling away here for our pasta. So once again, we're keeping a close eye on this because we've got the garlic in there and we don't want to burn the garlic. So we've got to keep it stirring, moving, and making sure that it's not getting dried out as part of this process. And we've also got the water boiling away here, very hotly. And we're ready to get the pasta cooking because the pasta is going to take about 4 to 6 minutes to cook. And what I've chosen is not dried pasta. I guess you would say that it's fresh pasta, even though it wasn't made today. But it's quite soft. And the dried pasta is perfectly fine. There's lots of different varieties, not just of the size of noodles you can go with, but when you look in the dried pasta, you can get ones made out of vegetables, you can get ones with extra fiber, you can get gluten-free, all kinds of stuff like that. And if you don't want any gluten, no wheat products, you can actually buy a thing called a spiralator that will take carrots and zucchini and turn them into things that look like noodles, which would be fine for this. But we're just going to take this, pop it into our water, add some salt, and that will be ready to roll as soon as our vegetables are ready. Try to use as big a pot as you can so those noodles have room to move around. And open up and be careful of the heat there. Okay, so now we're going to start putting vegetables in, things that take a little bit longer to cook, like our broccoli and cauliflower. They're going to go in first. And once in a while you get a leaf of something that just wants to go along. And we'll stir that up. And again, coming back to that whole steam process, we're going to add a little bit of liquid. Now, in this case, I've chosen some vegetable broth, and just about half a cup there, and I'm going to add that in. And vegetable broth I'm using this product. It's called Better Than Bouillon. This comes in beef, chicken, turkey, or vegetable. It's a paste rather than a dried product. And half a teaspoon of this is all it takes, very well seasoned, and it keeps in the fridge, and it's really handy. If you can buy this online, but ask your local grocer. And I know, hats off to my local grocer, Cindy and Robbie Dagenet at Eganville Fresh Mart, who, when I mentioned this to them, they arranged to bring it in for me. And if you have a good relationship with your grocer, I'm sure that a lot of extras can come in if you ask for them and you know that you're going to be using them on a regular basis. All right. Okay, so that's simmering away nicely. You'll notice that the pasta, it was kind of foaming up just a little bit. And if it starts to do that, one trick is to take just a little bit of your olive oil, just put it right into the top of the water, and that settles it down quite nicely. So now we're ready for all of these beautiful sliced zucchinis and carrots. And we'll put the stems from the Swiss chard in. And isn't that just beautiful? Like a rainbow of vegetables. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to put our little makeshift top on it and let that steam for a couple of minutes. And I believe that our pasta will be about ready at this point. If I can get at it. This is, when you buy the fresh pasta like this, it cooks much quicker. I mean, it's a little bit on the soft side to start with. So we'll just test this out. Perfect. I'm gonna turn that off. And we're gonna drain that. Again, using this beautiful colander. Okay, and we're going to drain that. Now, I'm leaving a little bit of water in the pot so that if it turns out that I do need a little bit more moisture in my vegetables, I've got this, which is already flavored with the pasta flavor. And we'll just put that back out of the way. And I'm going to take my serving bowl and put the pasta in there. And I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. And what this will do is it keeps the pasta from sticking together while we're waiting. Okay. Then, again, we're waiting for those things to simmer, so we'll take our basil leaves. And in this case, because it's a little bit bigger dish, all I'm going to do is just tear them up in my hands. I'm not worried about chopping them too finely. And let's have a look how things are doing under the dome here. Beautiful. And the zucchini is getting soft. The carrots they'll still be a little bit firm, but that's just fine. That's how you want it when you want something fresh. You want it to have a little bit of crunch still in with it. So now we're going to put in the basil, the tomato, and the Swiss chard leaves. So all of these vegetables are things that really you could eat raw, so you don't want to overcook things. We're just going to cook this long enough for that Swiss chard leaves to wilt down a little bit. back there. And of course for your tomatoes to warm up, this process. Pasta at the ready. And I think that should be good to go because we want to keep all the colors nice and vibrant as part of this process. Now we'll take the big frying pan onto our pasta. Go. Oh, I almost needed a bigger bowl there. And we're going to take this pre-done Parmesan cheese, sprinkle a bit on, and we'll take a second spoon. Oh my goodness, I should have had a bigger bowl. And we can save some of that cheese for people to put on as they wish on their plates. But there we have it, folks. Pasta Primavera. And thank you for joining us again today at Hilltop Stovetop. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make Pasta Primavera. If you did like today's show, please remember to like and subscribe. And also, if you look in the down below, you will see links to some of the Eganville areas that I have been talking about. But don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss our next episode, which is all about how to roast your turkey, because it is Thanksgiving and Christmas will be upon us before you know it. And that's a great skill to have, is cooking a beautiful roasted turkey. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.